Those on the same boat will always notice the wave. I get them open like the moment when they grope and they babe. I ain't walk miles like him to choke on the stage. I've been through fire. Who cares about smoke? What's going on, everybody? It's Bookem here of The Bookem Show and also founder and creative director for The Bridges Project. If you want more information on The Bridges Project, which is a community outreach nonprofit, please reach out to me on Instagram at Bookem_Bridges. That's Bookem_Bridges, or you can find me on Facebook, Bookem Bridges. Now, let's get right into it. I'm here to talk to you guys about an incident that occurred in Ohio, Butler Township, January 16th of this year. Now, before I start, I want to just put out a quick disclaimer. Anything that I say on this show should not be deemed as a reflection of anyone within my department, administration, supervisors, colleagues, co-workers, civilians, canines, so on and so forth. These are my opinions. I'm off duty. I'm in my studio. This is how I feel. Now, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I don't care what your opinion is. Not that I don't care. I just believe that we should all be able to express ourselves or give our opinions and not hate each other at the end of the day. It's okay to feel how you want to feel and not hate someone because they don't feel exactly how you feel. It's okay to be yourself. Now, with that being said, let's move on to the topic in Butler Township, Ohio. First thing I want to say is that I am super pro law enforcement. Obviously, I'm a law enforcement officer myself. Just started my 18th year in the sheriff's office in New Jersey, Hudson County. I've been blessed to be in this field. I love being in law enforcement and being able to be a representative of my community and to help my community. I truly feel like this is one of the best places and careers to be in where you could leave a staple in your community and leave a positive legacy in your community. Now, there was an incident that occurred in Butler Township in the state of Ohio on January 16th of this year, 2023, where Latinka Hancock, 31-year-old black female, was punched in the face by an officer later identified as Sergeant Tim Zellers of Butler Township. And also the other officer on scene that most of you have seen in the video, which I'm going to show momentarily, is Officer Todd Stanley, who had 2 years on the job at the time of the incident. Now, from what I'm reading in articles and from what I've seen and what I've researched is that there was a verbal dispute between the workers in a McDonald's and Ms. Hancock in regards to her not having enough cheese on her cheeseburger. Now, to some of you that may be comical, but in hindsight, I don't like pickles. So if I go to Burger King, Wendy's, McDonald's, or wherever fast food restaurant I decide to go to, I always say no pickles. Now, when I get pickles, I get frustrated and I get a little upset, because it happens more often than not. So am I going to have the police called on me? Probably not. I'll probably just take the pickles out and throw them away. But you can't do that with a cheeseburger. If you ask for more cheese, you want more cheese. So that's what the argument started over. She apparently went back inside. She said she wanted the cheese that she paid for. There was an argument that ensued, and law enforcement was notified. I don't know the extent of the conversation. I don't know how the call was relayed to dispatch. But from what we see on the film, which I'm about to show right now, law enforcement officers arrive on scene.
What are you punching her for?
He's trying to cuff. Oh, who did?
We do not specifically train to punch in the face unless it's a defensive tactic in order for the officer to have some type of defense
So
to
do you think it was
themselves.
appropriate? Do you believe it was appropriate?
I'm not going to comment on the appropriateness until the entire investigation is completed. So.
All right, guys, there it is. A small clip of what occurred between Butler Township Police and Miss Hancock. Now you see Miss Hancock, right? She's in a position where she's definitely not in an advantageous position for her to try to escape or for her to try to hurt the officers, right? There's two male officers there. They have her against the vehicle. They have her cornered against the vehicle. She really can't do anything from what I see to hurt these officers. Now, listen, there's a lot of tactical officers out here or that are going to see this video and they're going to say, oh, anybody could be hurt at any given moment. Absolutely. I'm not saying to get complacent. Things can happen in a millisecond in law enforcement. We see it all the time. We see videos where officers get complacent and something terrible, terrible can happen, especially losing your life. Now, I also want to say that some of you might say, oh, well, this was just a call of a person that was upset with a staff member inside McDonald's. Why did they go so hard? Why is this? Why is that? What I do want to say is that officers have been killed or assaulted for calls similar or less dangerous than this. It doesn't appear to be a dangerous call at all, but officers get called to really ridiculous calls, which may not appear to be dangerous in nature, but they end up either losing their lives or getting injured on the job or assaulted. Now, with that being said, the officers arrive on scene. I don't know what happened. I don't know how they arrived. I don't know what was said to the officers. I don't know what witnesses said to the officers. You know, the information is still coming out. Obviously, there's an internal affairs investigation going on over there in their department. Once again, I don't know what happens when they arrive on scene. What we see in the video is obviously somebody from their cell phone recording the interaction between Ms. Hancock and the two officers. Now, at one point, I'm going to show you the video right here. Look, watch this video. Now stop it right there, right? Stop it right there. Now, look at Miss Hancock. She's pointing at the ground, saying something like, I'll get down, but I don't want to get down because the floor is wet. I'm assuming it was raining. I don't know what was going on. Inclement weather. She didn't want to get on the ground. Maybe there was a batch of oil. Who knows what was on the ground? I don't want to assume that it was rain. I'm just going to say that she didn't want to get on the ground for whatever reason. Okay. Now, from my perspective, from me being in law enforcement, right, I see that the officers are in control. Now, using the language in the Attorney General guidelines in the use of force policy for New Jersey, which were revised in 2020, it appears that Ms. Hancock was a passive resistor. Okay, she's passive. She's telling them maybe she's tightening up a little bit. Maybe she doesn't really want to put her arms behind her back. You know, I've come to learn throughout my 18-year career. I haven't had like tons and tons of arrests, I'll be honest, because I work for a department that doesn't answer the level of calls or doesn't have the call volume that some of these more active and more these busier law enforcement agencies have. Okay, I work for the sheriff's office. Our main priority is the court system, and we also have a patrol division, which I work for the patrol division. Have I arrested people? Absolutely. Have I had to go hands-on with people? Absolutely, many a times. But I am also aware of when there's a threat and when there's not a threat. And we have to understand that nowadays we are taught to de-escalate situations, okay? What I have a problem with here is not only that they struck her, not only that this sergeant punched her in the face, which I felt was corny and was soft. I didn't appreciate that, because what if that was your mother? What if that was your sister? What if that was your cousin? So on and so forth. Some people are going to watch this video and come at me and say, you don't know what she did. You don't know what she did. You don't know what happened. You don't know. I'm going by what I saw right then and there. They had control of her. Okay. Who knows if she swung on the officers before that? Who knows? We don't know the whole story. We haven't seen the whole video. What's the problem? What is the rush? What is the rush to get her in custody? Now, there's reports saying that she was being placed under arrest because she didn't want to give her license. She didn't want to give her ID. Okay, that is obstruction in New Jersey, failing to comply. She's not complying with a lawful order. There's an investigation that's ongoing. Officers are trying to ascertain the appropriate information on her. 9 out of 10 times, the information is just used because there was a law enforcement contact with a civilian, and that has to be reported. There has to be some type of information that's put into the system for us to keep record that there was an interaction between a law enforcement officer and a civilian or anyone. There has to be a record, even though it's, dispatch notified them there, but we don't know who we're dealing with. Okay, unless we have your identification. And in some cases, people have fake identification. So it's just we need some form of identification to know who we're dealing with. De-escalation, de-escalation, de-escalation. What's the rush? In my opinion, once again, this is my opinion. You can have a different opinion. It's okay. I won't be upset. But in my opinion, calm down. Try to speak to the young lady. Maybe you could have gathered her information if there was a calmer setting, if she felt safe. We could assume that she felt scared, right? Maybe she was scared, right? Some people might say and look at this video and say, man, get the hell out of here. What is she scared for? There are cops in uniforms. There are some bad cops out there. There are bully cops. There are some punk-ass cops out there that utilize their badge as a tool of oppression. And they talk to people how they want to talk to people. They mistreat people because they feel that the public serves them because they have a badge. And those bad cops make us all look bad. So what do? We break that wall down by showing compassion, showing empathy, and trying to just talk to her, right? Just trying to talk. I'd rather talk someone into handcuffs than to go hands-on with them, okay? Have I had to go hands-on? Bunch of times. But I'd prefer me not having to do that. I'd prefer to talk to people, explain. There's nothing wrong with explaining what's occurring, what is going on. Okay, ma'am, we got called here because someone stated that you were causing a public alarm, a public nuisance, whatever terminology the department uses or the officer decides to use. Sometimes you can't talk to people like that because they're going to say, well, what the hell? What public alarm? I didn't hit no alarm. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being serious. These are some of the responses you might get. So you might have to talk to people and say, hey, man, we got called here because they said you were being a little loud and you were cursing and whatnot. What's going on? Man, fuck all that. I wasn't cursing. Okay, ma'am, no problem. Listen, how can I help you? What's going on? I have used how can I help you so many times in law enforcement. Some of the responses that I've gotten have been, man, fuck out of here. You can't help me. Excuse my language. You can't help me. Fuck out of here, bro. Man, get out my face. Listen, man, I'm here for you. I know I don't know you personally, or ma'am, I don't know you personally, but I got called here. This is my job. This is how I feed my family. I got called here because something's going on. Now, what can I do to help you? How can we get out of this situation where nobody gets arrested, nobody gets a ticket, nobody gets hurt? I just want to see how we can make this thing work for you and I. What's going on? You have to make people feel comfortable. Some people just don't like authority. They just don't. Over the years, I've learned that some people are just scared of authority. There's a phobia that they see somebody in a position of authority and they just clamp up or they get defensive, and it's like fight or flight type of senses kick in. So we have to, as law enforcement officers, we have to navigate around that. We're here to just talk about the actions of the law enforcement officers. Do I feel like I'm better than them? No. Do I feel like I would have handled the situation better? Absolutely. Am I a little bit ashamed about how they acted because, we are in the same profession? Absolutely. Not all cops are bad. Some people will say otherwise. People have their own opinion. It's all good. Like I said earlier, you're allowed to have your own opinion and we could still get along. We could still be two mature adults and have a conversation. We could even sit down and have a coffee and have a respectful dispute on how we feel about our opinions and why we feel so strongly about them. I'm very optimistic. I'm open to different opinions, and I always try to research. And maybe I'm wrong sometimes, right? Just because I'm in the field of law enforcement doesn't mean I know everything about the law, doesn't mean I know everything about law enforcement officers. There's a lot of officers that are a lot smarter than me when it comes to the books and knowing 2C and Title 39 in the state of New Jersey and so on and so forth, Attorney General guidelines, so on and so forth. But I do want to say this, when it comes to common sense and having compassion and empathy and knowing how to deal with people, I'm going to say this straight up. It's one of my best attributes, you know what I'm saying, as an officer. I could navigate through different scenarios. I've learned, and it's mostly through life experience, that I've learned how to navigate through different situations, understand different cultures, know how to talk to people, know how to meet people where their interests are and where they're most comfortable. And that can only happen through life experiences. And you just have to have compassion and empathy and treat people the way they want to be treated, right? My boy Jay Lehman, shout to him, Why'd You Stop Me movement. A lot of people say, I treat people the way that I want to be treated. Maybe somebody just doesn't want to be treated like you. Maybe they want you to come at them a certain way or speak to them differently, or, you know, maybe some people, as weird as it may seem, maybe they don't like, you know, super kindness. Because some people that I know, when you're super kind to them and all that, they see that as a red flag, man. You know, they say, oh, this person's too nice, man. You got to watch out for them. Some people think like that. So treat people the way they want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? Always have compassion, always have empathy, always try to talk to people, especially in law enforcement. See, the groundwork has to be done before these situations arise. Officers have to be an essential part of their community. They have to be integrated in their community. I'm not saying that they have to be there every day, every time they're not working, but while you're working, you have to get familiar with the people of your community. Race, ethnicity, culture, religion, doesn't matter. You have to know who you're dealing with. You have to know what makes them tick. You have to know what makes them happy. You have to adjust your law enforcement mentality, the robotic, dumbass police culture that we're taught, that it's all about camaraderie. And a lot of times it's like us versus them. And I said in one of my songs, Find a Way, which is going to drop soon, where I said, thin blue line ain't dotted. So why they separate us? The thin blue line is supposed to be solid, right? It's one solid line. It's not dotted. There's no gaps in between the line throughout the flag. But a lot of times us as law enforcement officers, we're separate, man. There's cliques. There's people that hate each other for no reason, just because they might be different. They might talk different. They might have a different culture. They might be, you know, in my case, hip hop artists. They might be rock and roll artists, or whatever it is. They're not super cop 24/7 and, you know, thin blue line all over their trucks. And, you know, a lot of times these officers, you know, they fall out of grace in the thin blue line because, they you know, they ain't like us, man. They ain't into guns. They ain't into hunting. They ain't into... Not everybody has to do that. There's different people. Everybody's different, man. It's okay to be different. And us as officers, we have to accept all people for who they are, not only in the rank and file, in our community. In our community is more essential because our community is who we spend most of our time with. Patrol officers are the most essential part, or the most essential function of law enforcement, because we are in the face of the public every day. SWAT team is amazing to be a part of. If you don't know what SWAT means, it means special weapons and tactics, right? All the officers you see dressed like G.I. Joe show up at a door, break through the door, go get the bad guys. Outstanding, phenomenal group. Most of them are type A. Most of them are alphas. Great, great human beings. I know a lot of SWAT officers. Shout to Tactical Rhino. I know a bunch of them out there that are phenomenal. But I also know some that are just robotic in their mentality, and that's all they live and die by. And then, what else is there outside of law enforcement? You have to have outlets outside of law enforcement. Patrolmen are the ones that make the way for the rest of the officers. If you're constantly in the face of the public and you build a positive rapport with the public, and your patch says whatever department you work for, which it obviously should, right? Then you're a representation of everybody that comes after you, right? If there's ever a call for service, they see that patch. A lot of times we've all seen it. Oh, I know officer such and such. I know, yeah, you know that. Patrolmen make the way for every other officer. So it's incumbent on us to treat the public with love, respect, and dignity. It's incumbent on us to show love to one another. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't always happen. Officers suffer from anxiety, from depression, from mental illness. And I am a firm believer that a lot of it happens because of the BS that we deal with in the rank and file. Agree or disagree. But most of you will agree. I can guarantee that. It's not the public. It's the rank and file. But we still cater and kiss the asses of the rank and file, and we shun the general public, which needs us and needs to see that there's hope in us. So I'm going to close with that message, man. Stay blessed, stay safe, stay positive. And like I always say, be a part of the community, not apart from the community. I'm out. Peace. I will stand tall. I will not fall. Back against the wall, yeah. I must stay strong even when it's hard. My kids depending on